In this episode, you'll learn how your identity acts as a defense mechanism and why trying to defend who you think you are is exhausting. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness expansion. Here's 3 things that you'll learn today. Number 1, why the ego is necessary but must be understood. Number 2, how defending your identity keeps you stuck in subtle resistance. And number 3, the power found when you realize there is nothing to defend. So when we jump into point number 1, the ego is necessary but needs to be understood. This is taking the micro and the macro and mixing them together so that you can see the value in the things which don't always mix well immediately. Think oil and water. You have elements within, and your ego can be something that it makes your life much harder, yet without your ego, there is no life. So then we get to the point of accepting, all right, how do I make do with these differing elements in my life, right? And practically, that could be people, family, events, circumstances, environments, things that you have to do that you don't necessarily love doing. And when you don't understand yourself in the macro, the bigger picture is, in other words, the macro. When you take the time to zoom out, it gives you a new lens where the things, when being zoomed in on, they look so huge. They look too heavy. They seem unable to be understood when you're zoomed in. The zooming out creates the space to understand that which previously could not be comprehended. And a lot of the times, the zooming out has an essence of letting your intuition work, meaning that you're not logically analyzing every single variable. Because in life, logical analysis, think physics, think engineering, think even the components of a brake system in a car. Like, logically, you need to simplify and be zoomed in to work on certain projects. But if you're too zoomed in, then you get stuck working on the wrong things without the clarity, right? You'll notice, I'm sure you felt this in your life, when you're working on something truly aligned, the right thing, with the correct attitude, the tools, the systems, all the components necessary to build almost find you. It's like things feel easier. And then I'm sure you've also felt points in your life where you're forcing something, where it's like you did your best to make everything work and it's still not working. And that's because there is a difference. There's a contrast between control and letting go and being aligned. Where when you're understanding your ego, you're letting your heart guide your ego. That means that the mind is very helpful as an assistant, but it is not the predominating force that makes every decision in your life. So you start to let the gut and the heart kind of be heard as well. And the mind is like the engineer that puts together the insight, the macro, the broader strokes from the intuition. Too much logic, you are going to be working on small-minded bullshit. Too much intuition, and you're not going to get anything done, and it's going to be sloppy and look like it was created via, a fool. So when you understand your ego, you let your heart guide you, but you still pay attention to the nature of who you are, how you were raised. You understand your own conditioning and you learn to let go of resistance toward what your gut, heart, and truth and destiny is bringing you toward. The hard part in life is realizing you think you know who you are, and then through getting things that you thought you wanted, you start to see that something is missing, that something isn't right. And then you get skeptical, you question yourself, right? Because you had an idea that once you get these certain things, it could be money, car, status, accolades, achievement, anything of that nature. You realize once you get that thing, there's still something missing. And what happens there is the universe, God itself, is forcing you to realize that what you thought you wanted wasn't what you needed. That's a hard conversation to have with ourselves, but it's so important to understand the illusions of the ego's shallow drives and the heart's true, invigorating poles. Now, if we look at number 2, how defending your identity keeps you stuck in subtle resistance, it's as if you're having non coincidental signs in your life that what happens is if you are stuck defending your identity, all the signs, the irrevocable, non coincidental moments, they get brushed by. It's like something in your head, and I love to use this example because it happens very frequently in humans, where part of your memory literally gets so pushed down into your unconscious, your subconscious, that you forget you had certain specific memories until your spirit has worked and worked and worked. And later in life, you begin to have these faint deja vu like experiences in the moment where these deep, visceral, and vivid memories come back into your consciousness. That itself is only available to you when the identity, the ego is being sort of eroded, questioned, understood. Because then the defense mechanism, which is your sense of self, your ego, that defense mechanism is slowly falling away because you are letting that your destiny, your sparkle, your truth, your wisdom, your intuition, your heart, your gut, whatever you want to label it, God, Buddha, you're letting yourself be guided. So the subtle resistance keeps you in cycles until you really start to let go of this identity and let yourself see that the only constant is change. Like every day, you're going to have moments where you can feel, observe your own conditioning, your triggers, your knowledge, your experience, your memory kind of taking over. And then all in a moment, you can choose. You can have that recognition that I'm not going to keep analyzing. I'm not going to keep going in these loops of trying to control what is uncertain. I'm going to let go and trust that I am being taken care of, supported. And when I live from this free state of being, a new vibration, then what happens is you see time and time again, easier and easier, you get trapped. And there's no fruit in being trapped in defending your identity. And you learn to let go and let go and let go. And then the resistance, it continuously is evaporating. So it's that process of living honestly that allows for you to invite a beautiful life, to create a beautiful life. Now, number 3, the power found when you realize there is nothing to defend. This is sort of where you are so committed that when you're in daily life and you feel triggers and you have your heart kind of get over enthusiastic, or you feel your chest tight, or your mind is foggy, you have these moments throughout your day where you have an opportunity to catch yourself and you continuously catch yourself. You just realize, like, hey, I don't actually help anyone nor enjoy my life by trying to control conversations. And then you can move and interact with other people in a way that it's not so serious anymore. And when I say it's not serious, I mean there's a new joy in your movement. There's a new joy in your interactions. There is a complete absence of this small minded, insecure, or greedy, or prideful, ambitious sense of self. Like, for example, when you are not actually listening, a lot of the times conversations go like this: someone shares something, then you share over what they shared. You don't actually acknowledge that you are listening. You don't actually take anything that they said and kind of reframe it back to them to kind of communicate that you're hearing them. It is just a tit for tat, immature, like, oh, I did this. Well, let me one up you and say I did this. And a lot of conversations go in that nature where there isn't any depth. There isn't actual communion or communication. It is just a I talk, you think while I'm talking, I think while you're talking, rather than when you're listening, you're not actually thinking. When you're truly listening, you only can reach the depth of listening when you see I'm done defending myself. I'm done imposing my egotistical preferences and opinions onto situations. Now, there's a subtlety here. I don't mean that you're just passive, that you don't stand up for yourself. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying that those moments happen so less frequently, where you'll know it'll be super obvious and it'll be necessary, and you won't have to think about it twice when it's time for you to stand up for yourself or kind of actually state an opinion or something that is more than a opinion, right? That's part of this entire power is you we cannot confuse power with the facade, with the illusion. And an opinion is never going to be powerful, no matter what the opinion is. We're speaking here on a matter of what is true and what isn't. And when you see the truth behind what you actually are, that you are human, but you're also not human, then it's very obvious that you don't need to defend the human part of yourself anymore. When you're meant to be powerful in the moment, that is the not human part of you working through the human. And you don't have to like prepare that. You don't have to force it. All your cells, all your being understands that you are meant to stand up right now, that you are meant to be firm right now, that you are not going to be moved right now. So I wanted to take a moment to touch on the power because a lot of the times when we speak about letting go and dissolving the identity, the ego, the immature thinker, can get these opinions that, oh, yeah, weak, without power, passive, very just lacking energy. And that's far from the truth. The power is realizing that so many things that you used to waste energy on do not deserve your energy anymore. And that is a letting go, which allows for the power which used to be wasted to be renewed, compounded, and reinvested in a much more wise and intelligent manner. So that energy doesn't just go or disappear, energy is moving. And when you stop putting your power in places where it is just dissolved without any compounding, and you really start to see the relationship between the moment, the attention, the thinking, and your your power to choose, you see that you play a direct role in the spirals that you sort of let compound, in the seeds that you let grow. And yeah, sometimes you will be on rocky terrain, and that's for your spirit. It, you know, There are so many examples of nature just not being stopped. And that's part of your human nature too, and your inhuman essence, is that no matter what happens in your life, you won't stay down. You can't stay down. That's really the secret to having a good life, is to never quit on what you love. And to find what you love, that's kind of one of the hardest things in life, right? But once you see and you continuously realize, like, hey, there's only one way of living, right? And it's living in a way which unites you with the world. That's the power found. And you just begin to see that this human body and identity and psyche is extremely valuable, but it is not the sole determining resource that you have access to. You've so much inside. It's almost incalculable and incommunicable. So it is your duty and your power to learn what you are, to get to know thyself, and to let the power that is deep within your heart, your being, be heard, be seen, be felt, and understood. And to do that, it all starts with understanding what isn't powerful, what isn't true. So when you do that, it's a negation process. It's a process of remembering, and the only way you can ever remember the truth is by freeing your mind from all of the false chatter. You see, that's the great thing about the inherent game, is that every human has the truth within them. It's just, how many layers have you eroded so far? We're all continuously on this process. I think it's a game of, we don't finish until we all finish. So that's really what I got. We can do a little recap. Let's look at the recap. Why the ego is necessary but must be understood. Ego is necessary to construct, to build in life. However, if we continuously question and we're skeptical, then we start to notice that there's something beneath the projections of experience, knowledge, and memory. There's something deeper beyond just your thinking. Now, number two, how defending your identity keeps you stuck in subtle resistance. Defending who you think you are keeps you stuck because you're demanding life to be a certain way rather than learning from the moment. This resistance arises when your beliefs clash with reality. Yeah, exactly. Right? A lot of people hold on to beliefs, but those beliefs are not actually empowering. They're kind of like limiting blinders. And a lot of times people have beliefs to keep their identity safe, right? And a lot of the times people put themselves into these weak echo chambers because they don't want to question what they believe to be true. But if you believe, then you hope. And if you hope, there is a inclination or an implication within hope itself, the definition of hope, that the thing is not actually true. Else there wouldn't be hope. There would be trust and faith. Trust and faith have a different certainty than hope. Yeah, that is semantics. So don't chew on that too deeply. That's just, it's important to be clear on how I define certain words, especially when we speak with the depth in which we do. So number three, the power found when you realize there is nothing to defend. When you can be present and feel your own friction or resistance, there isn't anything to defend because you are free. Even though you feel the resistance or the friction, it is the bringing the attention to create that honesty with yourself when you feel what you feel that allows for you to change and learn through that feeling process. When you move freely, you flow and you let the current guide you, strengthening your life force instead of draining it. Absolutely. Now, big thing, big message, you must choose to be comfortable with uncertainty, because when you stop demanding certainty, you realize there is no need to perform or defend who you think you are, and you can simply embody the essence of your truth. Thank you so much for listening. I'm grateful for you. I truly am. New episodes are out Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I wrote a book. If you resonate with these episodes, you'll enjoy the book. And especially if you have any sort of goal this year to get into better shape, the book will 100% help you. Check it out. Got more details in the description on that webpage.